Well, good evening, everyone. This is Patricia, and I am traveling for history. I'm in Greenmount Cemetery in Burlington, Vermont, and I'll be talking about this person pretty soon. But someone in the comments section suggested I add a map showing where I am at the beginning of the video, which makes excellent sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This will show us, oops, there we go, that pink pin in the center is Greenmount Cemetery. It's where I am. So if you're in Burlington on Pearl Street, heading up Pearl Street, east on Pearl Street turns into Colchester Avenue at the hospital. Continue going along Colchester Avenue as you're just about to start heading downhill to Winooski. Greenmount Cemetery is on your right. Pay close attention to where the driveway is to the entrance because, you don't want to overshoot it a bit and have to do a really wide turn. I think I have some experience with that. Oopsie. So anyway, this is where I am today. So, person I want to talk to is the person right here in front of us, this exceptionally tall obelisk. This is an Egyptian symbol of everlasting life, eternal life. And this person, let me pan in for us, so hopefully you can see it better. That's the best my phone will do. Edward John Phelps, July 11, 1822 to March 9, 1900. Who was he? So glad you asked. Well, let me give you the lowdown on this gentleman. I'll have photos of him on Instagram. So if you want to follow me there, I'm traveling for history. So Instagram.com/traveling for history or at traveling for history or hashtag traveling for history 101. Any of those will get you to my destination. Alrighty, so hang on. This is a wild ride. This guy has got a lot in his packed out. So he was born in Middlebury, Vermont on, as I said, July 11, 1822. Educated in the schools of Middlebury and then began attendance at Middlebury College. He graduated from there in 1840. That's a 40. He worked as a school teacher and principal in Virginia, then began studying law in the Middlebury office of Horatio Seymour. Phelps completed his legal studies with a year at Yale Law School, attained admission to the bar in 1843, and began a practice in Middlebury. Phelps moved to Burlington in 1845, where he continued to practice law. Phelps practiced in Burlington with different partners at various times, the most prominent being Lucius E. Chittenden and David Allen Smalley. The Phelps and Smalley firm counted George F. Edmonds among the prospective attorneys who studied law under their tutelage. If you're thinking Edmonds School, ding, 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 you're absolutely right. Originally a Whig, after that party's demise, he became a Democrat. In 1851, Phelps was the successful Whig nominee for state's attorney of Chittenden County, defeating Democrat Leverett B. Englesby in the general election. He received a federal appointment before assuming office, and Aaron B. Maynard filled the vacancy. From 1851 to 1853, Phelps served as Second Comptroller of the Treasury. He then practiced law in New York City as a partner in Wakeman, Latting, and Phelps. He returned to Burlington in 1857 and resumed practicing law. Phelps served as the delegate to the State Constitutional Convention in 1870. Phelps was one of the founders of the American Bar Association and was its president from 1880 to 1881. He also served as a trustee of the Vermont State Library, a position he held for more than 20 years. From 1881 until his death, he was Kent Professor of Law at Yale Law School. Phelps lectured on medical jurisprudence at the University of Vermont from 1881 to 1883 and on constitutional law at Boston University from 1882 to 1883. In politics, Phelps was always conservative. He opposed the anti-slavery movement before 1860, the Free Silver movement in 1896 when he supported the Republican presidential ticket, and after 1898 becoming an, quote, anti-expansionist unquote, with respect to American foreign policy. In 1880, Phelps was the Democratic nominee for governor of Vermont. Democrats were a perpetual minority in Vermont and lost every statewide election from the 1850s to the 1960s. 1880 was no exception, and Phelps was excoriated as an unrepentant copperhead. Had he maintained his resolution to accept no political nomination, the memory of his attitude from 1860 to 1865 might have quite died. But the Democratic nomination and his speech of acceptance, in which, with surprising want of tact, he aired afresh his old hatred of the African and attacked the Southern Republicans, white and black, with a virulence which few Southern Democrats could equal, and have brought it back into strong prominence. Still stronger, light has been thrown on it by the publication of a careful stenographic report of a speech made by Mr. Phelps in September 1864 before a little club of copperheads in Burlington. In this, he called Mr. Lincoln a quote-unquote wooden head and a quote 20th-rate backcountry attorney, unquote. He declared that the North was fighting simply to, quote, turn loose all the, insert a racial epithet right here, unquote, and another quote, whitewash the, insert another racial epithet right here, in the blood of millions, unquote. Phelps was envoy to Court of St. James's in Britain from 1885 to 1889. He was praised for his work as minister, which focused on restoring the congenial relationship the two countries had enjoyed prior to the American Civil War, when relations deteriorated because England was on the verge of formally recognizing the Confederate States of America. In 1893, Phelps was elected a member of the American Antiquarian Society, a national research library of pre-20th century American history and culture, which was founded in 1876. Also in 1893, he served as senior counselor for the United States before the International Tribunal in Paris, which considered the Bering Sea controversy. In 1895, he was appointed to the commission which worked to end the Venezuelan crisis of 1895, in which Venezuela and England disputed the location of the border between Venezuela and British Guiana. Phelps was a highly sought-after speechmaker and delivered numerous public addresses, among them the United States Supreme Court and the Sovereignty of the People at the centennial celebration of the federal judiciary in 1890, and an oration at the dedication of the Bennington Battle Monument, unveiled in 1891 at the centennial of Vermont's admission to the Union. At the urging of Senator George F. Edmunds, President Grover Cleveland intended to appoint Phelps as U.S. Chief Justice in 1888. Phelps was concerned that his tenure as ambassador in London would cause the Democratic Party to lose the support of Irish Americans, who supported a growing movement for Irish independence, and Cleveland concurred. In addition, New England was already represented on the Supreme Court by Horace Gray, in an era when the government was expected to reflect geographic balance. Cleveland decided to appoint someone from the western states. Phelps died at his home in New Haven, Connecticut on March 9, 1900. A funeral was held at Battelle Chapel on the Yale campus. Theodore T. Munger officiated, and the university president delivered the eulogy. A second service took place at the Cathedral Church of St. Paul in Burlington. Attendees and honorary pallbearers included Edward Curtis Smith, John G. McCullough, Benjamin F. Fifield, and Robert Roberts. Phelps was buried here at Greenmount Cemetery in Burlington. In August 1845, Phelps married Mary S. Haight, capital H-A-I-G-H-T, who lived from 1827 to 1909, of Burlington. They were the parents of 4 children: Edward Haight Phelps, 1847 to 1884, Francis Shurtleff Phelps, 1849 to 1863, Mary Haight Phelps, 1855 to 1911, who married Horatio Loomis, and Charles Pierpont Phelps, 1861 to 1912. His legacy includes: in 1887, Junius Spencer Morgan endowed the Edward J. Phelps Professorship at Yale University. I wonder if that is still in existence, and if anyone knows, please put in the comments below. I'm curious. And then also honorary degrees. In 1870, Middlebury College awarded Phelps the honorary degree of LL.D. In 1881, he received an honorary Master of Arts from Yale University. In 1887, he received honorary LL degrees from the University of Vermont and Harvard University. Pretty, sounds like a pretty fiery sort of guy in some respects. And let's go ahead and walk around this monument, take a look, see who else is buried here. I actually have a video out on the St. Paul Episcopal Church. I'll include that in the a link to that in the description below. Alrighty, so on the right side of this, we can see that Charles Pierpont Phelps is buried here, October 7, 1861 to January 13, 1912. Married to Minnie B. Phelps, December 28, 1879 to July 26, 19... what does that say? 49? 29? Looks like 4 to me. Looks like 1949. You guys can decide. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And then in the back here, Mary Haight Phelps, July 26, 1827 to March, what's that, 6? 1909, his wife. An impressive monument, no doubt about that. Very tall. I don't have the dimensions of it, but let me go ahead and pan up for you as I keep going up. And there we go. So it is quite tall. Maybe, I really don't know. Really couldn't tell you. Hard to tell at this angle. But certainly an impressive monument for a man who was indeed impressive himself. So, thank you so much for coming with me this evening. And until I see you again, you have a great evening. Bye.